Bright lights, alien shapes in the sky, eerie phenomena and unexplained events. They're all part of the mystery of UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
At the time it was, wow, what a buzz. But then as we sort of started to think about what had happened, we thought this could have actually been quite a nasty experience.
To the researchers, some UFOs are just that, unidentified. Others can be explained logically and scientifically. But to the people who actually see them, UFOs can be a terrifying experience.
I was just terrified, literally petrified. I honestly thought, this is it, this thing's going to land.
Let's begin with Susan and Vardik Kudrin. It's July 1993, early in the morning, around 3 a.m. They've been driving along the Hume Highway for about an hour. Their destination is Sydney, and they've just passed through Albury Wodonga on the Victorian-New South Wales border. Then, Susan noticed a piercingly bright light in the sky, a light she thought was following them. Susan had her new video camera with her and began taping the object. She would continue to do so for the next 3 hours.
We just kept driving and I started getting pretty petrified about the whole thing. And it seemed to be sort of darting around everywhere, coming in closer, going out a bit. Then it came over the top of us as we were driving.
This is the tape Susan shot early that winter's morning on that lonely stretch of highway. She says that through the camera's viewfinder, the object seemed to be bat-shaped. It seemed to be darting across the sky, and she was convinced it had them in its sights. As the light hovered directly over the Kudrin's car, they knew it was no ordinary aircraft.
Our engine started dying on the car and we dropped about 40 kilometres an hour, dropped down to about 65, 70 k's, and that's when I started panicking. So I was thinking, oh no, it's going to come and get us.
He was extremely nervous. When he gets nervous, he goes very, very quiet and very calm, and he says, don't worry about it, it's nothing to panic about, we'll be in Wodonga shortly.
Several times Vardik put his foot down. Several times nothing happened. No response from the engine. Then, suddenly, the car accelerated. Everything was back to normal, except for one thing. That bright light was still there. And it stayed with them as they drove on, right into the town of Wodonga, where they stopped to buy food.
I found it again on top of the hill, and I said to Vardik, it's still there. It's just like it was waiting up on top of the hill for us to finish. But it was extremely bright. It was a lot better, even filming it, a lot better picture of it sitting up there.
It was just there, just sitting on top of the hill, just waiting or watching, I don't know.
Susan and Vardik say they were nervous, embarrassed, so they didn't mention the light to anyone in Wodonga. They set out again on their journey towards Sydney, and for 2 hours the mysterious light kept pace with them, and Susan taped it. As dawn broke, it was still there, still shining in the sky.
And it was at that time that the thing started to turn around. It was almost like it was folding back on itself, so that we could see the back of it, like a tailish sort of figure, and fan-like in its appearance. And it darted around and did all these sorts of things with the back towards us, and then would zoom off, and then would come back again, do the same thing again, zoom off and come back again. And by that time I was sort of really, wow, this is really incredible, and more interested in the fact that we were probably experiencing something that not many people get to see.
We could see it in broad daylight near the end. You could see the sun coming up, all the other stars have gone, and there's still this one bright object in the sky, and it just disappeared, it just vanished.
Their travelling companion was gone, but the Kudrins would not forget their strange encounter. First, there was the tape, prove to them that they hadn't imagined the whole thing.
When we got back and looked at the tape, I was astounded at what Sue taped. I couldn't believe my eyes. I just didn't think there was anything like that out there. All I could see was the bright light, and it was just fascinating to watch the tape that Susan had taped and what she had seen. And now I know why she was so amazed and excited about what she was taping.
Then, about 9 months later, there was to be a second sighting, just as clear as the first. It would absolutely convince the Kudrins that they had been allowed a rare and wonderful glimpse of the unknown.
Susan comes home from work and says, "It's out there again." And I said, "Oh no, is it?" And she goes, "Yeah, it is, get the video camera out." And I said the battery wasn't charged. So I put the battery on charge for about half an hour just to get enough power in it so we can view it again.
This time, Vardik taped the object. It was identical to the one he'd seen on the original video. Bat-shaped, pulsating, and moving across the sky.
I went through the same emotions again. I was scared, what's it doing back? And then, what's it doing? That's what I wanted to know, what's it after? And then it disappeared again, and I still don't know what it's doing. It wasn't a helicopter, because a helicopter wouldn't stay stationary for so long, and it wasn't an aeroplane, it had no flashing lights, so it could only boil down to one thing, which was a UFO.
Well, was it a UFO? In a moment, we'll put the Kudrin video to the test. A bright light that followed a Victorian couple for 3 hours as they drove through the Australian bush. A light they're convinced was a UFO. A bat-shaped object that darted across the sky. One they're sure had an unearthly influence on the engine of their car. In an attempt to identify the unidentified, we consulted international UFO researcher Bill Chalker. We showed him the video taken by Susan Kudrin in July 1993, and the interviews we'd recorded with Susan and her husband. After studying the tapes, Bill Chalker first tried to determine why the object seemed to be shaped like a bat.
The camera itself has gone to total zoom or to infinity and gone beyond really the limitations of the camera lens system itself, and so you've got an out of focus image, and also the internal geometry of the camera showing up. So you have this sort of curious bat shape, which has nothing whatsoever to do with the actual shape of the object itself.
As for the effect the hovering object appeared to have on the engine of the Kudrin's car, the best Bill Chalker could do was put that down to coincidence, and the fact that the vehicle was second-hand. Then there was Susan and Vardik's conviction that the light, on more than one occasion, dashed across the sky. Bill Chalker concluded that was camera movement. But remember, the Kudrins not only taped the moving object, they say they saw it clearly with their own eyes.
If you look at a bright light in the night sky long enough, your own eye starts to move, and it creates a sort of a false impression of movement.
Finally, Bill Chalker went to his computer in an attempt to track down the mysterious object. He plotted the date, the time, and the location of the sighting.
The position of Venus at that time was coincident with the general direction that they were filming in. There's also a section of the video that shows it more or less with the dawn arriving, and that's the clearest sort of impression that you get, that it is Venus that you're actually videoing there. There's little doubt at that point that they're still filming Venus, and to them it was still the same object that they were looking at.
So, according to the expert, what the Kudrins saw and taped was apparently the planet Venus.
That's not to say that there aren't legitimate videos and films out there. We've investigated over the years a number of cases where, despite extensive investigation, these films have remained unexplained, and the events themselves remain unexplained.